Hello, welcome to Meet the Candidates on BCTV. I'm Jessica Diamondstone, and this is Aaron Diamondstone. Aaron, welcome.
Hi, Jess.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
So, how exciting that you're running for Senate. Can you share with me why you've chosen to be a candidate for Senate?
I want to do my part. I want to help create a better world, and it seems to me that there's a capitalist system that is failing us all, and so I'm a Liberty Union candidate. We consider ourselves socialists, and I think it's the prime difference between myself and the other candidates that are running. I want to start, I guess, with my take on capitalism. It's built on growth. Corporate profits have to grow.
Yep.
Local tax bases have to grow, and the federal government has to grow its GDP. And after emerging markets and everything else, my view is that growth boils down to one thing. It all stems from population growth. And I think there are enough people on the planet, with the amount of people we have here, we're doing enough damage. We don't need more. And so I guess right now I'd like to focus on the corporate profits. In my terminology, there's no such thing as profit. Extra money made from the sale of a good or service comes from one of two places, or both. And that is not paying workers enough, and or not paying the true cost of the good. And any extra money comes from everybody on the planet.
Do you mean profits don't really exist? There's only underpaying employers or paying too much for a product?
No. Well, what I mean is, there's the examples I have. The two prime examples here in Vermont, over in the southwest corner of the state, there's polluted well water from a corporation that made Teflon-coated frying pans and wire. They made money, and they didn't put the money back into leaving the planet the way they found it. The other prime example in the southeast corner is Vermont Nuclear Yankee. They left us with all kinds of radioactive waste on the banks of the Connecticut River, and we're stuck with it. They ran away with the money.
I see. So now I'm clearer now what you mean. So when people talk about profiting, they're really talking about either ripping off the environment or ripping off the worker.
Absolutely, and usually both. I think capitalism is a failed system, and that however well-intentioned other candidates may be, they're trying to repair a broken system, a system that is dooming our planet.
Or patch it.
Trying to patch it, repair it.
Right, I see. Yes. So just a quick question about that. Many people hope very much to profit in some way in order to have security, in order to feel successful. It's kind of such a deeply embedded goal in our society. You know, how do I make a profit on this car I've just bought? Or how do I make the most out of my savings? How do I invest so that I can profit? It sort of represents, in a way, the only way to security, the only way to personal success. How do you answer that question that people would have, which is, if we can't profit, how do we retire? How do we rest? How do we have a vacation? What is our And also often people will say, well, what is somebody's motivation if you can't make more money?
Maybe it's hard for me to believe I'm saying this, but I have a positive outlook on, and that I have hopes for the world in the sense that, well, to start with, we're, in geological terms, I think all of us are only here for a blink of an eye. Somewhere between 20 seconds and 120 years. It's nothing compared to the 400 billion years that the planet's been around. And so I don't see, in my personal view is that no one person's time is worth more than anybody else's. Whether they have 6 doctorates or whether they haven't graduated from high school. Everybody's time on this planet should be valued equally. And it's a big leap of, I can't believe I'm saying this either, but a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
Not my strong suit, but
But here you are.
yeah, and so the example I have for this is if all the doctors, the lawyers, the rocket scientists, the garbage collectors, the farmers went on strike, where would the most death and destruction come? And in the short term, I think people would die if doctors were on strike. Lawyers and rocket scientists, probably not so much. But after a while, the garbage would start to pile up, and disease and pestilence. And if the farmers went on strike, there'd be no food for us to eat. So why should their time be valued less than anybody else's? And that's, just the example. It can be applied universally, I think.
That we're all connected.
Yeah.
We all need one another.
And so when somebody says, well, what's the motivation? Hopefully the system will take care of us all. It will provide us with the schooling from the Liberty Union platform. It says from birth to death, schooling is paid for. And schooling and healthcare, all of that, the meaningful work for everybody and anybody that wants it. And I think we'll all be happy. No more war. It seems to me like that's the direction we need to move.
Sounds good to me. It's so simple, really. It's almost as though everybody's using all kinds of practical, sort of in-the-box excuses. Not real reasons, but excuses why something so simple can't be done. But there are examples all over history where very peaceful, rational revolution, and I know that pushes buttons. People talk, oh, that must mean blood, bloodshed, but it doesn't have to. There are examples of governments that made huge, huge decisions and changed the whole structure or the whole membership of a parliament at a table. So let's do it.
And it may seem like some people may think that it's like an insignificant place to start, or to have such big dreams, running for Windham County State Senate. But Vermont's been a leader in a whole lot of ways, and I think it's a perfect place. And I think it's a perfect place to start. And one of the things I think that could be a first step is 100% income tax on anything over some set limit. I don't even know what the number would be, $100,000, $80,000. And that would make life so much easier for people in the state, that we could feed them and we could give them housing, and that's the base, and give them the basic needs to start there.
I'm just going to interject here because I've heard people argue that if there was a higher income tax, not even 100% over a certain ceiling, but just fairly prorated, even so that the wealthy were taxed as equal in percentage as the middle class, that all the money would leave. And I hear that all the time. I would challenge that in a minute, because people would be flocking to live in a place where everybody is well cared for.
And think about if those people did leave. Think about all those beautiful homes that we could have for the people that are living on the street now. We have to start somewhere. I'm really concerned. There are species dying all the time, plants, animals, and I don't think our species has long to be on this planet if we don't change what we're doing. And we have to start somewhere, and I'd like to see it start here in Vermont.
What are some of your specifics?
Well,
You just shared one, which
right,
is
yeah, and I suppose that there are probably a lot of steps, and I don't have a plan, to be perfectly honest. I don't have a plan. If I was elected, I would do all that I could to make these things happen. I don't know how, but I think we need to start. And so even if I'm just saying this to the people of Brattleboro and Windham County, I think that maybe it helps people who haven't thought about these things before, just open up to new possibilities and new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start somewhere, and this seems like the place to do it.
It certainly sounds like environmental protection is a part of your concern.
Is a part of it.
Is
Yes.
a major part of your concern.
I mean,
and a fair distribution of wealth.
Of wealth, and no more wars, and no more weapons. Part of the GDP growth is selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, who are killing people in Yemen. It's ludicrous.
It is ludicrous. The United States is the #1 military manufacturer for the world.
So, yeah, it seems like a small step, but it's also a hard step. A state bank, where Vermonters invest their money, it gets the money gets reinvested. The bank doesn't need to make money, and farmers can get low interest loans. And we need to start growing healthy food. My children haven't eaten well, and I'm not sure that I eat that well, but it's a good place to start also.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. The grocery stores are filled with food from California and Chile, and farmers right here, people right here would love to fill the grocery stores with their own produce, right?
Absolutely.
So strengthening the local agriculture, local business.
And to have a self-sufficient economy that where we can take care of ourselves locally, and we don't have to use petroleum to truck in vegetables from California or Chile or.
Is there a state bank somewhere else that's being done at this point?
I believe North Dakota has an operating state bank. It's North Dakota or South Dakota.
And is this a new idea, or did this once exist? Do you know if they've been done before?
I think that the state bank in North Dakota, I believe, has been operating for quite a few years. It's been tossed around here in Vermont, and it's like maybe a baby step, and it's still hard. What's the terminology? It's simple but not easy, and that's a good first step.
I understand that TD Bank now is the bank that the state uses for. It's like the state-used bank, like all
I think
state
the pension
banking is
funds
through.
and
And I believe that TD Bank is also a big supporter or investor in the pipeline.
Oil pipelines, yeah.
So if we had a state bank, would we be more, I assume that the state of Vermont would be able to make decisions
And use their own money
about
and
how to
our own
invest.
money and reinvest it in Vermont and not in petroleum products and pipelines and my next page is blank. I have
Great, that means we can talk about why Liberty Union and what is Liberty Union. This is,
yeah, Liberty Union was started in 1970 by a bunch of people who were concerned about the same things I am, and yeah, it's well the introduction on the Liberty Union platform. Liberty Union is a nonviolent socialist party founded in the state of Vermont in 1970. We offer a slate of candidates for all statewide offices and general elections. And we form the platform as a socialist platform operating within a capitalist economy. And I'm not sure labels are maybe the right thing, but
it's tricky.
my
Socialism frightens a lot of people.
Well,
It's
what
got-
I'm about to say may frighten people more is that the definition of communism is everybody gets paid the same, and I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, you said it just the other day. To all, let's see, it will come in a minute. About to all according to their.
No,
Oh, that's not the.
It's everybody has productive work. Everybody gets paid the same. And basically, the idea is, and everybody's working for the common good. And so the President of the United States makes the same amount of money as the farmer in Brattleboro, and everybody has the exact same health coverage, and there are no favorites, and there's no motivation to want what somebody else has, because we all have the same, and we're all here trying to help each other.
There's a lot of fear that that means a loss of freedom. That's why people, that's sort of the propaganda that socialism or communism means that nobody will have personal freedom, that they'll all have to wear the same clothes and have the same house, and there won't be personal expression or creative.
Well, for me, the idea is to have a democratically elected government, and hopefully it would work better than it does today, and an economic system that treats people fairly and equally, where we can all do whatever. We can be a doctor, we can be a garbage collector, we can be a rocket scientist, but we all get paid the same.
So then our motivation is the work itself.
Is to have meaningful work.
Is to have work that
Work we
speaks to
enjoy,
us.
work we want to do. And it seems idealistic, but it also seems necessary.
I imagine it would also take a lot of corporate control out of the electoral system, right, that we're struggling with right now.
Well, that was actually one of the things I wanted to get to, is that there are the two systems. There's the economic system and the governmental system. And I think that by fixing the economic system first, it would just carry over into the governmental system. People wouldn't have power as a U.S. president. They'd be there to serve the people and not themselves, or as the governor of a state or any other elected office.
And all the other candidates running for your position would have the same budget as you, which would, right?
Yeah.
In this situation.
yeah.
So it would equal the playing field for all the candidates, right?
Either I would have more from 0 to what they have now, or they would have less. And it doesn't seem like we should need to spend money. We have Brattleboro Public Television. We have forums, and I have noticed that the number of forums has dwindled this year. It's a little concerning, but I'm fairly certain that the people of Windham County are pretty well versed in what's going on, maybe more so than the rest of the country or the world. Well, maybe not the world, but.
Why do you think there are fewer forums this election?
There are, I think there's only one Republican running, and the two Democrats are incumbents that are pretty secure in their position. And I don't know. I don't even know who to ask.
So back to the Liberty Union platform. You were just reading the beginning, the introduction to it. Is there some other part of it that inspires you that you'd like to share with listeners and viewers?
Well, I mean, 4 and 5, and 6, all of it. It's all good. Everyone should have the right and choice of privacy, free from government interference, as long as these choices do not negatively infringe upon or cause personal harm to others. That's my impression of what law is all about. It protects us from one another, anyone from harming someone else. Everybody should have socially productive and personally satisfying work. Everyone is entitled to a fair rate of return. All genders should be treated with respect and dignity, having equal rights and sharing equal responsibilities. Senior citizens are valuable, important members of society. I think all of this just naturally flows, and I know that a lot of work went into...
The rest of that, senior citizens are equally valuable and important members of society and should be given the opportunity for meaningful participation in that society, free from economic deprivation.
That's what I mean, it all flows. If the changes happen, all of this, I envision at least, will just naturally occur. And it's scary to think about, for me, it's scary to think about what will happen if we don't start moving in this direction. And I don't want to move out of a place of fear, and yet I am fearful.
Because of climate warming?
Climate change, just...
corporate ownership of our electoral body. And I'm assuming...
Yeah, when a corporation can be considered a person and donate to a candidate unlimited amounts of money, it isn't a fair system. Fairness has always been important to me, and I think that may be why I'm here.
Thank you so much. I wonder if we can finish, we're getting very close to the end here, by reading just one. There's number 11 is pretty amazing.
Sure.
Do you want to read that one?
Sure.
Oh, I think we have just enough time.
All national, political, and economic borders should be open. No person should be defined as illegal. All people must have the right to express their opinions, ideas, and dissent through all forms of nonviolent assembly and protest. It's a beautiful piece of work from my perspective, and it's worth a look for anybody that wants to read the whole thing.
How can people read this? Is there a website? I think there is.
At the Liberty Union website.
Yes. You can look up libertyunion.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.